while we're waiting for, the lecture to begin, I'd like to share a couple of things with you guys that you may or may not know, that a vegan diet actually changes you on many different levels, many aspects. So mentally, physically, spiritually, metaphysically. I mean, a vegan diet honestly changed my attitude, changed my perspective of life, and my energy level. And energy is the currency of the universe. So whenever people speak of energy, we think, oh, I'm ready to go run a mile, or, I felt great waking up out of bed. But energy, emotions, thoughts, subconsciously and consciously, a diet that is electrical, with this electrical body, we fuel it the proper way. So now we can manifest our visions, our dreams. We can tame our unwanted and unbalanced, parts of ourselves that we all deal with. I call them demons, but, we all have things, lower self, or, whatever you want to call it. But this diet is more than just choosing not to eat animals. A lot of people think that it's all about the animals. And really, for me, when I went vegan, I didn't really think about the animals. And then in turn, I was like, oh, wow, it is good for the animals. So we often think being vegan is expensive. It's not. If you buy a lot of processed food, of course. If you're going to buy like fake chicken and fake beef, of course. I mean, it's processed regardless. But yeah, the whole point of this, I don't want to go in a complete circle, is that being vegan is not boring. Because often, we're visual beings. We want things that taste good. And what do you season animals with anyways? I mean, we don't eat it raw. We season it with plants. So if you just take out the animal and, just keep the plants, I mean, it pretty much tastes the same for the most part. So that is all. We are going to begin the introduction.
A lot of women are going organic with their diet. Anybody knows about organic? It's expensive, right? So they're spending a lot of money going organic, but then they still put the chemicals in their face, in their hair. They got relaxer, perm. I'm like, it doesn't really make sense to go organic and then you're putting the chemicals directly on your scalp and skin. It goes, the next stop from scalp and skin is bloodstream. And in most cases, it's worse than eating it because you have a defense system for what you eat. So your body at least has a chance to try to break some of that stuff down and excrete some of those chemicals. Hair and skin is not built for that. We got to realize how far outside of the natural paradigm we are. None of this was intended with nature. Like, nature didn't make L'Oreal and Revlon products. It just weren't there. So there's no mechanism that your body is developed for that. We are completely wide open and susceptible for that. So here's the flip side to it. We go natural, no hair and skin products, and then we eat the crazy food. You know that women have the same hair loss patterns as men. Why is that important? Because for the last, 20 years, at least as long as I've been listening, we've been hearing about alopecia and DHT. So you go on the market, all of the products to regrow hair is based on DHT blocking. DHT blocking, DHT blocking. Why is that relevant? Men have a much higher natural level of testosterone than women do. So if this was a question really of DHT, then why would women who have a much lower amount of testosterone have the same exact balding patterns as men? That almost right there by itself kind of begins to start to rule that out, or at least should create enough doubt in your mind to investigate further. All right, so we're going to go in a little bit deeper. The shape up is absolutely unnatural and begins the process of the receding hairline. Every time I get a shape up, that takes the entire protective layer off my skin. The entire protective layer that's supposed to be on my skin, protecting it from the trillions of bacteria that live on it, is removed. All the water that's supposed to be in there, keeping the skin hydrated, the follicles healthy, it leaves, it evaporates. The yeast and the fungus slip in, right? So we're going to go a little bit deeper. Every time you get a shape up, it's over exfoliation. The most gentle shape up you can get is still going to take that top layer of skin off. And that would be with the razor blade only. So I know a lot of brothers, they get the clippers, then the razor blade. It's a wrap. You're killing yourself. Right? So you have a compromised lipid barrier stress on the skin. That's the first protective layer right there under your skin. And these are the progressive symptoms we have. Now the razor bump's a little bit different. Because of our difference in biochemistry, we don't understand that the stuff that we see on the outside has its roots on the inside. So because we have naturally more androgens, if your skin is darker, that means your follicle is like, it's diagonal, set in the skin. That's why the hair comes out kinky like that. So when you get a lineup, it's a lot higher of a chance that your hair is going to dig right into the next follicle, and that's where you get the hair bump or the ingrown hair, same kind of situation. But the rest of this is progressive, how this starts to deteriorate your quote-unquote hairline. Right? So the lipid barrier layer is the stratum corneum protection layer designed to keep moisture in the tissues and limit access of bacteria, virus, typo, and chemicals. Shaving destroys the lipid layer, especially with the use of alcohol-based aftershaves. Every time I got a haircut since time immemorable, it's always been alcohol. So they take the top layer off the skin and then drop alcohol in there. Alcohol not only dehydrates, but what does alcohol help feed? Yeast and fungus, correct. In fact, that's how we make alcohol, even drinking alcohol. Right? It's the yeast. We feed them and then they excrete the ethanol that we process. We listen to euphemistic ideas of word definitions and not really understand the definition. So we hear vegan, we think that automatically means it's healthy for us. It does not. It just means no animal products. We hear organic, again, we think that means healthy for us. It does not. It just means little to no pesticide was used on it. That's it. But your body has almost like a 70, 80 mineral deficit daily. So like every day you need about 80 minerals. So if we're not really talking about the mineral content of the vegetables, we can't talk about how healthy it is for you. So even though it may not have any pesticides, it also may not have any minerals. There's only 3 required to grow plants. NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Woo! But you need 80 minerals. So even with all the organics in the world, you're still short like 75, right? So that's another lecture. Anyway, so you kind of understand how this begins to create deep inflammation within the hair follicles, right? And hair relaxes are many times worse. The hats, like these little issues are things that's compromising our health long term. Your follicles need constant exposure to light and oxygen in order to be healthy. So we keep the hat on. The tightest part of the hat is rubbing right against the hairline all day, every day. So even the holes on the top of the hat is only allowing oxygen to reach the top of the head. And women, y'all are off the chain. Come on. Right? Now, here's the crazy thing with these wigs, right? Because it's only the cheaper ones, which is why I have the price up. Here's the difference in what you're getting. Scalp health with the wig. So when you have the expensive wigs, they're designed to get oxygen to the scalp still. They have openings all throughout the wig. The $14, $30, the Korean special. You are a disposable person. That's how industry sees you, as a disposable person. So they're not even thinking about how this is going to affect your health at all. This video, Dr. Akilah is explaining, now you see her long, natural locks. She's explaining what actually made her go natural. she was down in the before she was a doctor, she was a cop, and she was working down in was that the morgue, I think, where they do the autopsies.
Yeah.
And she was there, and there's always supposed to be a cop down there, kind of watching what's going on, or whatever the case may be. And she noticed that a woman next to her had like the head was off, the skeleton, the top of the head was off. So she noticed it was like these black patches with like holes in the head, the brain. The brain just had these, like a sponge, with black patches with the sponge. And so she looked and she started seeing a couple of them like that. And so she asked the mortician, hey, like, what was this? Must have been, she's a cop. So she's immediately trained to think violence. Right. And she's like, oh, this woman must have been bludgeoned to death. Like, this is some serious trauma here. And the mortician just started giggling like, no. All the black women come in like that. That's a relaxer. Yeah, that's what happens with the relaxer. That's not, no, she died from something completely different. Look, let me show you. And start walking around the morgue showing other ethnic groups, because technically we're propping up the relaxer business alone. Everyone else's hair is almost already trimmed, so they don't need the relaxer. And it gives you a much higher chance of fibroids, cancer, Alzheimer's, etc., because it is brain damage. That's why a lot of times I always have braids. And one of the things I learned just from having braids and long hair was girls would always say, how come boys' hair grows so fast? And I'm like, yo, there's no difference. There's only one difference between boys and girls. You're chemicaling it up and juicing it up and staying in it and touching it and flipping it and folding it and burning it and pressing it and flattening it and all kinds of crazy stuff. And we don't do any of that. We just put the braids in, grease it that same day that the braids go in, and then we don't touch it again until it's time for the braids to go back in again, weeks later. So it's just a matter of not putting the chemicals in. So even before it was about any of the information on that, I was already not learning that they were just chemicals. It's just, so now I know how the body works. Your body's not designed for this stuff. It just can't go beyond the design of the body. So I'm just like, I think maybe people should look at what happens when we don't have the gloves on and we do the relaxer, and the lie gets a chance to get right with you up close and personal. Right? So these are the results. Why? How does this happen? Well, as a dad, once again, you know that, well, as a woman, you know, the very first time you get a perm, when you go to the bathroom, it's in your urine. Your urine smells like the relaxer. So even if without science, you can tell that just went all the way through your body, regardless to what the hair person told you. No, I'm going to put the grease on your scalp and it's going to just be right there on the hair and don't worry about it. It's not going to, no. This is a kitty, no. Don't worry about that. No, it's going all through your system. It's impossible to go on the hair and not. When we look at the hair follicle, you're going to see there's a vein that goes to the hair follicle to take nutrients. There's another vein that leads from the follicle to take away waste. And whatever else we got going on in there, right? So, there's a reason why we're having these issues. Now, wait, before you go. This is the most precious part of the mucous membrane.
Thanks.
The internal skin. All right? So you cannot poison any part of the body anywhere without poisoning the entire body everywhere. Now, there is zero investigation because the only people with these lesions are black women and other people of other ethnicities with brain disease. So anytime they're looking at this brain damage, scientifically, it's only investigating Alzheimer's. It's only investigating Lou Gehrig's. It's only investigating MS. It's only investigating dementia. They're not looking at the cosmetic industry. Why? Because it's not regulated. It's buyer beware. See, so that's why, y'all heard Jimmy. I kept saying, now you get this information first. You gotta get this information first, because the information is more important. I can't start working on you, and then there's a difference between being somebody that teaches health information and being a healer. Like right now, I've taken a hiatus off my healing and just doing more teaching. But healing is full time. Like you got to really, the person's going to the doctor, you're going to the doctor with them. They're crying, you're crying. They're in emergency, you're in emergency. So don't let these people tell you that they know about herbs. Oh yeah, milk this was good for your liver, and then he thinks he's a healer. That's not a healer. Healer is someone who starts with sick people, sticks with the sick person until they're not sick anymore. That's healing. And that takes a toll on your life. So you have to really be good at it because you have to heal yourself every time you're healing somebody else. Right? So and it's time consuming. So you can't be doing like a zillion people. That's why I say you went to Honduras. Because you have to also control outside influences because as soon as you turn your back on them, Doritos popping, lipstick is popping. Oh no, I'm not wearing the makeup. This is just foundation. Right? So all these things we got to deal with. Awesome. So we're back here. DHT. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into DHT because this is the Phantom of the Opera, right? And the more people look at DHT and regurgitate that it's DHT without really understanding themselves what DHT is, because most people telling you it's DHT for causing your hair to fall out don't even know what DHT is, or how it works in your body, or what it's there for. Because everything that's in your body has a job, has a role. You got to think about that. The moment I start blocking this, what else am I stopping from happening? Because it's in there for something. So if I start blocking this, what else is happening? If I start blocking that or adding more, what's going on? Right? So now here's one of the beautiful things. And if you don't really get into the health, you don't get to see this part. Right? You don't get to see this part. Androgenic alopecia. What's the symptomology? Heart disease, insulin resistance, high PSA numbers, prostate cancer, metabolic syndrome, polycystic ovary syndrome. Those are almost exactly identical with the symptomology for type 2 diabetes. So we have to get that. We have to understand that. So the exact same thing is going on in my body as a type 2 diabetic if my hair is falling out. What does that have to do with DHT? Nothing. Nothing. Which is why people loading up on these things, everybody's hair still falling out. People don't think LeBron can afford $20 DHT box. Obviously he can. But his nutritionist that he has around him doesn't really understand what's going on because LeBron wouldn't be drinking wine with dinner either. That's another conversation. Right? That shuts down your mitochondria, so you have a much less mitochondrial put out next day. So that's why LeBron gets tired in the fourth quarter. I can tell when LeBron had wine the other night for dinner. At the game, like, oh, it's one of those millionaire dinners. Okay, the red wine thing. Can't stop that. It's not. The alcohol prevalent in the wine is going to do much more damage, especially to an athlete, than the insignificant amount of resveratrol. You're like, no, it's got the resveratrol. What is resveratrol? You don't even know what it is. They're just saying it's in there, right? So this is something that we have to understand. So this is a systemic problem, right? This is your whole system. Glucose tolerance factor is a must. What is glucose tolerance factor? Glucose tolerance factor is what allows your body to process glucose. Most people do not have a strong production of glucose tolerance factor because our bodies are deficient of chromium and vanadium, which are the key minerals that produce that. But those are not in food. They're not in the food, and they're not in the organic vegetables. Okay?
Where they at?
You got to supplement because they're not in the soil. So if they're not in the soil, you got to supplement. Table in the back. Where you get it from? You got to supplement. If not my stuff, you got to get it from somewhere. But it's not in the soil, right? The plants that are grown only require anywhere from 3 to 9 minerals to grow. So since farming is a business, they're only putting in 3 to 9 minerals so the plants grow. That's how business goes. I'm trying to spend as less money as possible and make back as much money as possible. So I can only sell this tomato for this amount. It doesn't matter whether I put 9 minerals in it or 100. So I'm going to put 3 in there or 9 or whatever I can get away with to get the production. Once I get a nice production, I'm good right there. So you have to know you need these things and then go get them. Stress hormones, right? This is going to be a big key in how this whole thing works. Because even without going deep into science and biochemistry and any of that, we know that people get stressed out and their hair falls out. Period. Everyone. No one's exempt. Why? Simple. Stress hormones constrict the blood flow. You don't even got to get deep with it. Right? So your follicles are like soil, just like the plants. They have to have nutrients to grow. They have to have nutrients to grow, and the nutrients get here last. This is a luxury for your body. Nutrients have to go to the liver, heart, lungs. The main place is first. Then it cycles around and reaches the scalp and things like that. Your body has a weird priority system that you may or may not agree with. Just like type 2 diabetics, the reason they lose the eyesight. Or cancer patients, the reason they lose the eyesight is because they're deficient in chromium and vanadium. So that's how I was able to get Jimmy's mom's eyesight back. Just get the minerals in. Because your body will pull from somewhere else that has the mineral if you're not getting it in the diet. So if the pancreas needs more chromium, body needs more chromium, eyes have a storehouse of chromium because chromium is what helps your eyesight. So everybody with macular degeneration is deficient in chromium. That's a whole nother conversation, right? Because chrome. Anybody that understands optics or anything like that, chrome is a key in color production. So the proteins in your eye or pigments in the eye all have chromium as a catalyst for their function. So anyway, you have to have it. Circulation. Right? This is why you see like the, what's that thing called? Not Tai Chi, Qigong. Right? You see them out there, 7 in the morning. People be laughing at them Chinese folks. But they're out there at sunrise for a reason. And we'll get to it. Is it coming up? Oh, bam! Right on time. Oh. Because the sunlight, see, the info is in here. I'll put the slides up so y'all can see it as I'm explaining, but it's all in my brain. So, but the sunlight produces nitric oxide in the blood. That is one of the major keys to you having healthy circulation. But we don't do sunlight anymore, especially people that live outside. See, y'all in Miami, so this might be a bad week. Outside of Florida, actually even down here, because people hide in air conditioning. And work and school is scheduled through the daytime. So people aren't getting sun like that. It's more than vitamin D. Your blood circulation depends on it, right? Also, your mitochondrial health depends on it. Adenosine. Okay, we hear about ATP. Some of us get a little deep. We're like, oh, okay, yeah, we know the ATP is for energy. Here's another thing. I'm going to keep dropping these bugs in your ear so you understand how minerals work. Your body cannot produce enough ATP if you don't have phosphorus. That's what the P is. So if you're not getting enough phosphorus in your diet, you're not going to have enough energy. Right? So ladies, fibromyalgia, my energy's low. You might not have enough phosphorus. Phosphorus also has to be accompanied for ATP production and utilization with calcium and magnesium. Calcium on the production end, magnesium escorts the ATP into the next cell for metabolism. Right? So, all of this, circulation, driven by the sunlight, UVA particularly, and infrared A. About 40% of the sunlight is infrared. Right? Coenzyme A, very important. We have diets high in unnatural fats. Okay? Your essential fatty acids are typically the only fatty acids you're supposed to be getting. right? It's not like the fat from the meat when you bake it that's on there, the juicy. No, you're not supposed to have that. We like that, but you're not supposed to have that, right? Your fatty acids. Now, problem is our diet is too high in fats. So, why is this relevant? Coenzyme A is the nutrients again, B5, cysteine, and phosphorus. If you don't have enough B5 in your diet, B vitamins, a lot of vegans have issues with these, right? Because they're not supplementing. They think organic vegetables is the end of the world. Stop it. You're going to be sick. Cysteine, right? That is a sulfur-based amino acid, and phosphorus. That is how your body produces coenzyme A. Coenzyme A is what actually feeds the fat to the mitochondria so your mitochondria can burn it. What happens with excess fat? Excess fat, when we have a fat overload, your body tries to excrete it, get rid of it. So the places where you have the three largest sets of pores, your face, your scalp, and your upper back. So this is why when people get pimples, face, scalp, upper back. Acne, face, scalp, upper back, always. Because the fat is seeping out through your pores. And this is why people that are overweight always have them bumps and crazy looking skin on the top of their back. Yeah, because the fat, your body's trying to push that fat out, right? But that creates a problem. Acne, and for most people that don't know, we think acne is a pimple. Acne is one of the bacteria that actually live on your skin. And we know there's trillions of different types of bacteria and stuff in the body. Acne is one of them, but it's not alone, right? So when the fat goes there, you have a lot of bacteria now trying to get into the follicle to live off that fat. This is where the yeast and the fungus come to play, right? Now, the more magnesium, the less your sweat smells. Why? Magnesium disinfects and deodorizes. Outside of supplementation, where do you get magnesium? Chlorophyll. Any green plant. The center of that plant cell, magnesium. In fact, peripherins are what absorb sunlight. It's made up of aromatic amino acid rings. Peripherins. They absorb sunlight. This is a basic pattern all throughout nature. So, the plant cell, magnesium at the center. Melanin, same thing, sodium at the center. Red blood cell, same thing, iron at the center. Right? So you can't have healthy skin without enough sodium, not salt, sodium, there's a difference. Right? You can't have healthy blood without iron, but iron has a bigger key role. Now, magnesium is key for 600 different enzyme functions in the body. But not only that, it disinfects the body. It destroys these little microbacteria when they get to places they don't belong. Problem, 85% of America is magnesium deficient. Guess what? It's not required for plants to grow. It's not in organic vegetables. It's not in the soil. Right? So, this is why our detox, we tell people, don't do it 21 days and think you're good for another 10 years of McDonald's or even Boca Burgers and Gardein. Like it doesn't go that way. You need to do this 21 days per month, reducing your body's inflammation and increasing your body's mineralization. You have to do that monthly. That's supposed to be an ongoing process. An ongoing process. Antioxidants. How many people have heard of antioxidants? Matter of fact, say something. Give me a sound.
Hello, pomegranates.
Okay, 3 people have heard of antioxidants. Okay, here we go. People watching on camera, they're like, is EnQi teaching like alone? Your antioxidant system in your body cannot run at the same time as your inflammatory system. That is a very key important part of you staying healthy to understand that. That's how cancer develops. When you have inflammation, because inflammation is basically an oxidation system in the body. That's how white blood cells work. They oxidize things. They produce H2O2. So they oxidize things. So your body down-regulates the antioxidant system in the body as inflammation creeps up. So that puts you defenseless. So you can't have steady inflammation in your body without having an illness pop up sooner or later because your natural defenses are down. So you have to take it upon yourself to turn that inflammation off with your diet, right? So back to DHT. Balding men were tested against men with all their hair, and it was found again and again, every time they ran a test, that men with abnormal hair loss had excessively high amounts of DHT. The problem is that they didn't put that in the proper context of biochemistry. Fat cells produce estrogen. The body uses DHT to neutralize estrogen and aromatase. Aromatase is a nasty little enzyme that converts your testosterone into estrogen. Right? So, now let me bring it all together for y'all. Okay? I see some of y'all getting drowsy. Big word. What's going on? If we have high diets of fat, the body tries to push that fat out the scalp, the face, and the upper back. You're going to have excess of estrogen in those areas. So to get rid of the estrogen, because your body always tries to balance your estrogen and testosterone levels. Men have a certain natural level because we have both. Women have a natural level because they have both. In almost every single woman that has fibroids, her uterus is not producing enough testosterone. The uterus produces small amounts of testosterone to keep that area alkaline and regenerating and keep the eggs there safe. When that stops, it becomes susceptible to, problems, right? So the body pushes DHT to the scalp to neutralize the estrogen being produced there. So this is why when they were running the clinical tests and they're looking at people balding, they're like, nah, there's plenty of DHT there. This has to be the thing because this is the only difference between men with long hair, men with losing their hair. It's the DHT there. No. The DHT is an after effect. It's the fat and the sugars and the bacteria, right? Another thing is we notice that when people lose their hair, they always keep that, right? They always keep the hair around the sides. Why? Because these have the big arteries here feeding them. So they're always going to have circulation. On top and in the front, little tiny capillaries, that's it. Once you get a little inflammation, it's over. No circulation. Those follicles are going to die. Bam. Right? So, everyone is just repeating DHT, not really understanding what's going on. Let's get deep. Come on. Now, all throughout the rest of life, when you look at what DHT does, DHT actually makes hair grow longer and thicker. DHT is one of the key parts to puberty. When your facial hair starts to grow in, your voice gets deeper, and your DHT everywhere else in science makes your hair thicker and longer. Only with these balding clinical studies, because the pharmaceutical companies came right out after those clinical studies with products, did we hear about DHT making hair thinner and losing hair. It has nothing to do with that. Right? So, of course, I just had to get... Okay, next time. All right. So, another piece to the puzzle. All right? The microbiome. The microbiome. Very important. Now, before we get to the microbiome, follicles on the face are much more sensitive to androgens like testosterone. These hormones make follicles twist, their resulting hairs become pink. With that being said, Africans should lose their hair first and go bald more than every other ethnic group because they have higher natural amounts of DHT, which we do not see. They keep their hair the longest on average. So this is again showing it's not about DHT, right? So microbiome, we have to talk about that. The bacteria that lives in the skin, on the scalp, on your back, right? This guy, star of the show, malacesia. Anybody speak Spanish or any Latin language? Mala is what?
Bad.
Boom, right? So that was a key right there for me. I was like, A lot of times these science terms, it's just like a root and a suffix from somewhere, and you figure it out, you're like, okay. Malacesia. All right? Even, okay, yeah. This guy right here, pityriasis versicolor. What is that? That is like an early stage of vitiligo. People start to lose the pigment on their skin. So you got little tiny white patches, you got versicolor. Then later on when it gets crazy, vitiligo, right? But it's this guy, right? So for a while they say they don't know what caused it, what's going on, but now we know it's a part of the microbiome, right? Because basically the way you get pigment is your keratinocytes, your melanocyte kind of impregnates the keratinocyte with the pigment, but you have a lot of these nasty guys that come by and destroy the keratinocytes or the melanocytes' ability to impregnate them with the pigment, or they will get on the cell and literally eat the pigment out. So there's a lot of different stuff going on our skin. We don't see it. There's a lot of stuff going on. And then we put the makeup, the chemicals on, it just makes it worse, right? So, next slide. Right. This is what we need to know. This guy is almost identical to Candida. Malassezia is almost identical to Candida. And Candida is the nastiest customer around. We've been numb to Candida because, you know, moms teach their daughters, oh, you might get the yeast, change your toilet tissue with your panties, you know, just get monostat, you good. It doesn't work like that. Every single cancer, tumor, and fibroid they cut out, when you cut it open, it's white. Why? Because it's filled with Candida. Every one of them. Every one of them. Not every so often, you know, no. Every one of them. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier. See, now we're starting to bring it together. We're talking about your mucous membrane. Candida is the only yeast that lives on your mucous membrane. And this is why it's important, again, like I said, to do that detox monthly. You have a very thin protective layer of your mucous membrane on the inside. It's called the glycocalyx. The glycocalyx is made out of glycoproteins. When you get inflammation, the glycocalyx is shed, so your mucous membrane is unprotected. The yeast, Candida, transition or mutate into fungus, and then problems start. That's what goes on with these guys. So when they're in yeast form, they don't create any problems in your body. The moment the Candida mutates into fungus, then it gets crazy. Okay? This guy is absolutely identical, does the same thing. Only thing is it doesn't live on the interior skin, it lives on the external skin. So proper detox has to be a daily ritual. All right? So here's the other bit of proof they have about DHT causing the problem. Because when they came out with the DHT blockers, a lot of people started getting their hair growing back. Why? Because DHT does all these other things. And amongst these other things, you see cortisol. Cortisol, not only did I showed you earlier, stress hormones do what? Shut down circulation. Right? So even if you're getting the nutrients, it might not get back to the scalp because you don't have circulation. That red light's still on? Okay. But cortisol shuts down proteoglycan metabolism and production from 40 to 80%. Okay? So, I know y'all have no idea, like, what is prodeo? What does that mean, this thing? I get you. Okay? Which matches the hair loss percentage. So when people start losing like 20, 30, 40% of their hair, they can see that they're having 20, 30, 40% proteoglycan production going down. Tin deficiency, the mineral tin. This leads to excess cortisol production. Yes, tin works in your adrenal complex. Okay? Hyaluronin. This is the gel that sits in the follicle that serves as the nutrient medium. This is at the bottom of the follicle, right? This has to be there, right? For the stem cell, the melanocyte, the hair, etc., to get fed. So without this gel sitting at the bottom of the follicle, no nutrients can get to the hair, no hair can grow, etc. Okay? So what did we talk about earlier? When you get the shape up, all the hydration in the cell goes. That's this. That little gel that sits in there to keep it hydrated to hold the nutrients. That disappears. Whoop, and then we put alcohol on it. Make sure it's dry. It's over, right? Versacans. Versacans is one of your most important proteoglycans. Versacans maintains the viability of the mesenchymal stem cells, aka papilla cells, to produce the hair from the raw nutrients.
So you're saying as far as the shapeless, so man, we shouldn't get shapeless, you're saying?
I'm saying you want to protect that line, you want to get the razors and the clippers off it. So it's a trade-off, depending on how bad you want to look good. You look good without it.
Even your beard and everything too?
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Everyone like
Wherever you shake. Well, here's the thing. People aren't really worried about underarm hair loss.
Yeah.
Like most people want the underarm hair to stop growing.
Right.
So, but I say this much, it's dangerous for women to alter what goes on under your arm because that's where your lymph node system is for your breast. So all the deodorant, the shaving, the nair, right into the breast, then lymph nodes get shut down, and then you're in the bathroom like, oh my God, babe, don't get nervous, okay, babe? I'm getting really nervous, babe. I think I feel a bump. They're using deodorant, nair, and all kinds of crazy stuff. But, so, this is a key to keeping that papilla healthy because the papilla is what takes the raw nutrients and makes it into a hair to grow. There's no magic that happens in your body where something is produced from nothing. Women have to understand that more important than anybody else because women have the babies. And women think as long as they get pregnant, a baby is going to be produced healthy out of nothing. No. You need over 100 nutrients a day to keep your body going. You have to have all the raw nutrients to create a whole new human. It's like building a house with no sheetrock, wood, and hammers. How can you do it? You can't. You don't have the raw materials there. So this is where most of the defects come from is because all proteins, enzymes, etc. have to have mineral catalysts, have to have vitamin catalysts. If you don't have the vitamin or mineral, the enzyme or protein doesn't function. Right? So anyway, back to here. So to keep the papilla cells healthy, you have to have those proteoglycans. Decorin introduces this pseudoscience that we've been running with, right? So people in the hair industry, natural hair, you've been watching the videos, they say your hair has 3 phases. Anagen, catagen, telogen, right? Who's heard of that before? Okay. Yeah, so y'all not watching the natural hair videos. Right? But they would tell you that your hair grows in 3 phases. The anagen phase is when it's growing, the catagen phase is when it's slowing down, the telogen phase is when it falls out. That is incorrect. It is just simply how much decorin your body's producing. So when there's a lot of decorin being produced, your hair does not stop growing. When there's a little bit, it slows down. When there's little to none, it stops. Now, the longer your hair grows, the more hair you have, the more you need. So this is why sometimes people's hair grows and then hits a ceiling where it's like it stops growing. Because you're not producing enough to facilitate growth anymore. It's just going to stay right there. You have to have these nutrients. Proteoglycans. These are like sugar-based protein fat thingies. Right? So, there's no such thing as these phases. It really is just about how much decorin your body's producing. Next slide. Don't worry. It's only like a couple more slides and then y'all are done. Now, Antonia's hair villi, right? Mucous membrane regeneration system. This was designed to load you up on glycoproteins. Why? Not because it feeds the hair and your body can produce more versicans and decorin and all this kind of stuff. Because women that were dealing with miscarriages and crazy, the fertilized baby going into the tube and not rolling down properly and all this kind of crazy stuff like Remy Ma just dealt with. Mm-hmm. Atopic pregnancies. It's because the glycocalyx is not there. due to inflammation. So you get the glycoproteins in the diet, it reproduces the glycocalyx and all those other glycoproteins that your body needs. So that wasn't my first goal. But obviously, because my mom did such a lovely job with my young babies and hair care down there in Virginia, that I had to fix this thing up, right? So the hair really is loaded with the glycoproteins to get that growing. Also, Candida, we talked about that, inhibit the mucous membrane. So if we want to reduce cancers and tumors, this is also something that you got to get into people that have those issues. So whether your hair's falling out, diabetes, cancer, tumor, whether you're just overweight, and you're dieting, you're hitting the gym, it's not coming down, you have to deal with some other issues, right? And you may not be getting other nutrients in because there's no category for glycoproteins on essential nutrients. They tell you minerals, vitamins, amino acids, essential fats. That's it. They never mention glycoprotein. That's like a brand new thing, right? So now you know. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe, correct. Right? So gray hair. Most people would tell you it is just a copper issue. It is not. You have to have, again, the glycoproteins. You have to have tyrosine, which is how your body, the amino acid your body produces the pigments from. Then you have to have copper that catalyzes the first step in tyrosine conversion into dopamine, et cetera, all the way down the line. What's the second step? Iron. What does selenium do? Selenium keeps the matrix where pigment is being produced clean and healthy, right? So you have to have all of these guys to get the strong pigment coat back in the hair, all right? So this is how you build up a healthy marrow, all right, which is based on melanin content. So the less pigment your hair has naturally, the less you will have a marrow content. So people that are hair professionals, they know. That's the inside of the hair follicle, okay? It is based on your pigment level. That's based on these guys. So it doesn't matter whether you have blonde or red hair, you can build it up, get your hair strong. So when they talk about these scientific formulas for shampoos, conditioners to give it body, all they're doing is adding back the things into your diet through the scalp that they know you're not eating. So you can just eat it and then you don't have to buy the $40 8-ounce. So the second issue is hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. Catalase is the enzyme that converts H2O2 back into harmless water and oxygen. Problem: most people don't have enough iron in their body. Iron is not just for blood and anemia. Iron is a catalyst in every oxygen-related activity in every cell of your body. So if you don't have enough iron for your blood cells, forget about the rest of your body. Catalyst is an iron-based enzyme that reduces that H2O2. So
Can't find copper without
grand opening, grand closing. So even when you look at you might be having a sidebar, but it's okay though, because even when you look at the mitochondria, right? I don't know about first slide into the mitochondria, but I think it's the third cellular respiratory protein, cytochrome 3. It's iron. The fourth one is copper. So it's like every time you have an oxygen reaction in your body, it's going to be copper and iron, right? Heme, actually, you know what? All those cytochromes are heme, same as your red blood cells. This is the reason why the red blood cells don't have nucleuses. They're designed just to carry that energy the same way that electron transport systems. Anyway, so back to here. Wait a minute. We might be going crazy, right? So, either way, and this is what I was talking about earlier, right? So you got to understand how these peripherins work. So when you look at catalase, they will tell you, depending on what research you look at, some people tell you that catalase is just one atom away from hemoglobin. You see, this will be your hemoglobin right here, with nitrogen affixed to the iron. Here, with the oxygen affixed to it, is catalase. Now, as science get a little bit more, we can see a little bit more. It's saying that catalase has heme built into it. Either way, no iron, no catalase. So So you have to have these minerals. Glycoproteins, where are they produced? In the kidney and the liver. All right, how does that happen? Erythropoietin. I might be butchering these, but they're up here so you can take notes, look them up later, get busy on your own. Is a key component of what becomes platelets. So platelets have a bigger job in your body than just causing blood clots. Like, you're not designed to scrape your knee all day, every day. So obviously platelets have something else to do besides blood clotting, right? You lose the ability, the platelets, specifically this guy that catalyzes platelet production from the kidney mostly, the liver produces a little bit, does not function in acidic pH or low hydration. What does that mean, Minister EnQi? That means if we have a very acidic situation in our life, because that's how we're living, and we're drinking almost no water, a lot of caffeine, which is a purine, and purines basically, as you take in 10 ounces of purines, you get rid of 15 ounces of water. That's how purines function. So anything with caffeine in it is impossible to hydrate your body. It's always going to push out more water than you took in. Grand opening, grand closing. So, low hydration, high acid in the body, you do not get production of this guy. What does that guy do? That guy tells the kidney to produce the glycoproteins that the platelets carry up to the scalp. Okay, so don't worry. This will be on YouTube. So if y'all don't get the whole thing now, don't worry. You can watch it later. Right?
So related that to miscarriages, no?
Absolutely. Well, the inflammation, because the glycocalyx, which is the protective layer of the mucous membrane, if it's not there, and it leaves, it sheds whenever we have inflammation. So when we're putting all those products on our skin, the mucous membrane becomes inflamed, the glycocalyx is shed, and now you have problems. So, and then we have nasty sexual habits, because that plays a key role. You know, we like to turn up, so to speak. You know, so we might go out, have a couple of drinks, right? What does that do? Boost all the activity of the yeast and the fungus. Boost internal inflammation. Now, when you go in there, you release that, you know, there's inflammation going on. Glycocalyx isn't there to protect the process. It's already a natural part of the process for white blood cells to swarm the womb once sperm is there. So, hold on this. But, definitely. So, anyway, so specific lectins found in the hair villi, right? Going back to the hair villi again. These are the guys that are key. This is the nutrients that are key to glycoprotein synthesis in the kidney and the liver. Now, a lot of people hear lectins. Lectins are a bad guy like cholesterol, although we know the body needs cholesterol because cholesterol is what's responsible for testosterone, boom, 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 boom. So this is why when you go on statin drugs eliminate the enzyme that allows your body to produce testosterone. Now, you may not have the high blood pressure, but your thing doesn't work. So you have frustration because your relationship's not working out because the thing doesn't work because you took the drug. So it gets crazy. You just eat some grapefruits. Anyway, so.
Eat some grapefruit.
No, they tell you that. Like, it's crazy. They say, don't eat grapefruits. And then you look at grapefruits, which is one of the things with the problem with grapefruits, why you can't mix it with high blood pressure medication. Because grapefruit lowers your blood pressure.
Yes.
So if you have grapefruit with blood pressure medication, your blood pressure may go dangerously low. So it's like, why don't I just... Like, here's the thing. You gotta watch this now. Here's the choice. I'm gonna go with God, or I'm gonna go with folks wearing white jackets. Right? I'm gonna go with God or the folks wearing white jackets. So the pharmacists, pharmaceutical guys, they're saying, hey, you take this drug, this statin drug, you can't take grapefruits with it because it might kill you. So take this medicine, you can't also eat the fruit. So it's like, okay, so you're saying the fruit does the same thing?
Like what?
Wait, and the fruit is, what is this? Grape is $1?
You gotta pay $100.
And how much is that? And when I take that, my thing stops working. It's almost a no-brainer for me. But, you know, make your own decision. Right? So, anyway, this is what your platelet looks like. Key thing to pay attention to, again, mitochondria is there. right? Mitochondria is the key to your body producing the infrared and circulation and the ATP and all that kind of stuff. Trying to get y'all to the end, right? So these are the nutrients that your body needs besides the lectins, and lectins get a bad name because people hear about A1C count going up because the lectins will create the sugars to stick to the proteins, and right. But everything has a purpose. It's just that we're eating box processed stuff and we stay inside, we don't get exercise, etc., etc. So anyway, B12, vitamin D, C, and K, right? I probably should have put those in a different order.
Yeah.
Right? Right.
Nice.
Calcium, iron, copper, and the glycoproteins. This is what your kidney needs to synthesize the erythropoietin and et cetera, to get the healthy platelet production from your bone marrow. So remember, it's the relationship of the kidney to the bones, kidneys to bones, that gets your hair the nutrients. So you got to see how that's kidney produces the bone marrow stimulating compound. The bone marrow then produces the carrier of the nutrients that goes to your scalp and feeds the hair. So inflammation can shut that down 100 different ways. High stress on the kidney can just shut that down by itself. Right? So just so you get an idea. Right? So this is how it looks. Up close and personal. Notice, now, this is the big key right here. Look at the hair. We know how big hair is real time on our head, like a single strand of hair. Look how much smaller the capillaries are to each strand of hair. That's how easy it is for them to get clogged with fat. This is why the body sends the DHT to neutralize the estrogen, because anabolic hormones break fat down and increase muscle. Muscle and fat don't occupy the same space. You see? So this is how this whole thing works. So once these guys get clogged from inflammation, fat, or the malacesia coming down on in here, so it can eat the nutrients that your circulatory brings up here instead of your hair. Nasty little funguses come right in here and move in here, move your hair out, right? That's how the hair growth gets shut down, right? Again, we talked about this. The areas with the thickest circulation never lose hair growth. Even when it loses all its color and everything else is bald, you still have hair on the sides because there's still blood reaching those areas. Right? Now, old age. I think this is the last slide. Old age. Oh, the slide before the last. Right? Old age. Because this is attributed to this. Here's another dagger in the coffin of DHT. Right? How are elders that no longer have DHT still losing their hair? That's a super critical, like, knife. That's like a smoking gun. Because once you get past 60, you're no longer producing testosterone to be converted into DHT. But they're still losing the hair. So if it has something to do with DHT, DHT is no longer even present. Why are they still losing the hair? Because you have a couple of key things that goes on, right? We lose minerals as we get older, right? As we lose minerals in regards to circulation, we lose the charge of the red blood cell. The charge of the red blood cell is what allows the red blood cell to get into the capillaries that are actually smaller than the red blood cells. So those capillaries you see, especially the ones that go down into the feet, this is why diabetics get their feet cut off. The charge to the red blood cell is no longer the same as the lining of the capillary. The lining of the capillary is lined with sugars. That keeps a negative charge. When you have iron and copper in the blood cell, that keeps a negative charge on the outside of the red blood cell. The negative and the negative repel each other, and it opens the capillary up so that the blood cells can flow through there. When that charge is no longer there, it closes and you start to get blood clots. They got to chop that joint off. It's just minerals we're losing, right? So as we get older, we start to lose minerals because they're not in our diet. And all of our reserves are getting depleted because slowly but surely every day we're pulling minerals out of those places. This is why old folks they lose height and they shrivel up. Why? Because we're pulling all the calcium and phosphorus and strontium out of the bones. Okay? So we also lose water, blood volume, right? So how can we have the same circulation to circulate the minerals? So those are the key things that happen as we get older. Nothing else, right? We have to understand that time, in the way we know it, is a human concept. Your strand of hair is not thinking I'm 10 years old. Like a rock doesn't know that it's 5 years old. That's something we keep track of. So your hair is not thinking, okay, I'm getting older now, time for me to get... So it doesn't have that. It's just a matter of you putting in the raw nutrients. Period. Okay? Right, so now, the kit, what's in it? The full kit is $310. I think she's doing a sale. I probably should bring her up here unless... Yeah, okay, I'll leave you there. Only because Kylie's on your lap. Not to save you from stage right there. Otherwise, you'd be up there. To explain your thing. Right? But it's $310. I think this sale is going on all the way through Christmas. But you get 2 bottles of the Hair Villi, which is $65 each. You can buy it separate by itself, but it's $65. It has faux tea in it. It's a Chinese herb. The pumpkin seed that has a lot of zinc and good essential oils. Bringaraj, probably butchering that. It's a herb from India. Along with the faux tea, they both have high amounts of glycoproteins and glyconutrients, biotin, silica, tyrosine, yucca, B vitamins, etc. The eumelanin, which is a copper compound. You get 1 bottle of that. 2 bottles of pink lips. What's in the pink lips? Chondrus crispus, sea moss, hydrangea, and kelp. Hydrangea does exactly what you think it does. When you see it's called hydrangea, right? It is the most electric plant that you can find on Earth. It's so electric that it doesn't have a steady description. Every time it grows, it's going to be a different color, the flower, because of the minerals, the ionization of the air and the minerals in the soil. That's how electrically active that plant is. So that's in there, the kelp, the Chondrus crispus, aka the sea moss, but sea moss is a little bit blurry of a title. There's like 500 different types of sea moss, so when you buy sea moss, you don't know what you're getting, right? Fire, which is iron compound, so you get all those iron enzymes activated, as well as the red blood cells to get your circulation going. And the iron, being the natural magnet of our periodic table, carries the rest of the minerals along with it, right? So even if you get the other minerals and you don't get the iron, they won't. The liver will pull them out of circulation, right? So hair growth starts immediately, first 28 days, but it becomes exponentially explosive after 120 days. Why? Because it takes us 120 days on average to produce all new red blood cells. So what does that mean? That means, say for instance, you eat beef today, right? And you're deciding you're gonna go vegan. And you go vegan, and after a week, you're like, yo, I'm vegan now. Not really. You're still, 90% of your blood is still based on, it's not gonna be until 4 months that all of the blood cells in your body reflect your new dietary change. So that's how you get saturation. So people sometimes, they look at nutrition to try to correct things in their body, and they don't have the right time scale. It's going to take between 4 months and 2 years to correct most conditions that people have. Some stuff is a little bit trickier, like arthritis, because you don't open up the joints until you move them, right? And if you have horrible quality blood, that's another issue. But the Chondrus crispus and sea moss is also good for creating that foundational gel matrix that sits at the bottom of the cell as well. So all of that's in the full kit. We got the full kits, the detox, etc. We can also order them online. as usual at the event because we don't want to carry them home. They're always on sale. Online, they're a lot more expensive because then you're having to send me to the post office and folks. So, price goes up. Anyway, I think that's the last slide. Let's press the button. Bang! Last slide. Questions? Good. Nobody has any questions. Do not try to sneak me with a question later. Because people do that when they're scared to ask a question in front of everyone else. They wait until after the Q&A period is done and they're like, so, Minister, let me ask you this one thing. Right? So.
Okay, so my friend has he keeps getting blood, like back in Chicago, like he keeping blood clots and like he was going vegan.
Kylie.
Okay, baby's gonna be babies. He keeps getting blood clots and he said he want to go on a vegan diet, and it's the vegan diet has high in like vitamin K and stuff.
Maybe, but vitamin K is not necessarily the sole responsible guy for him getting blood clots. It's more about usually lack of calcium, magnesium, iron, and copper than having too much vitamin K. Because vitamin K is in super trace amounts, and most vegans don't even eat that much greens anyway. They're somewhere in between really eating plants and just not eating meat.
And then plus there's a lot of things in that diet that thins that cleans the blood so it won't be able to.
Because even people on warfarin medication still have those issues.
Okay.
And warfarin is like a blood thinner.
Yes.
It's like a really, really strong
it's
aspirin.
combination with another one.
Right. But what warfarin does is basically get rid of vitamin K to thin out the blood. You know what I'm saying? You still have issues going on. And then that creates more issues. So you always got to look at, when you get rid of a problem with a synthetic means, what other problems you created. Because blood is there to carry your nutrients. So the thinner the blood, obviously the less nutrients you can carry. So over time, you're going to start building up issues in other places, which is why most people that take those heavy blood thinners lose their hair. The skin starts getting patchy. They start getting those black spotches on the skin and stuff like that.
All right.
So wait, hold on. Last thing. He's getting ready to go on, right? You see, he's getting ready. See, that's a big problem too.
I think he
They're
is on a
getting ready to, but I'm saying they're getting ready to go on a good diet.
Right.
Like most people are getting ready to change their diet until death.
Right.
Instead of actually getting on the diet.
Right.
Because they're stuck with the Western modality of health. The Western modality is live like a maniac, then I can go get surgery or a pill, and then I can get healed, and then I can get back to living like a maniac. The natural paradigm is live as good as possible and prevent as much problems as you have. There's no herb that's going to replace like surgeons. So I'm not anti-doctor. Doctors have a place. This is a point where the herbs wear off. You actually need doctors to come in. But there's a big gray area where it's just lack of personal responsibility.
He's tired of going into the hospital. He's just like, look, hey.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the relationship. And this happens mostly in the heart and up in the scalp in some of these areas where the capillaries are. The fat builds up. The fat builds up, the white blood cells come. The white blood cells live there like buffet style, and then they mutate in what's called foam cells. Foam cell is basically a white blood cell that just got fat, not shaped. Anyway, that really creates the clots.
He does have really bad acne, like on his back and his
I already know.
He can't even get tattoos.
Listen,
so bad.
when I start talking to people, I'm like, oh, is this going on? Is this going on? Yeah, you probably have this going on. But I'm not a doctor, so go to the doctor. Let me see what the doctor says. And stuff, and then boom. No.
You didn't say a name.
I tell people.
You're
right.
No names.
No.
Right, yeah, you're right. No. It's good that he sees this. He knows what to do.
All right. They say when you go vegan, you need certain nutrition for the brain that you can't find in vegan foods, and you can only find in meat. One in particular, I see a lot of studies say vitamin B12. But my question is, if vitamin B12, if it's like causing anemia and things of that nature, and iron is like the key to it all. If you supplement yourself or you put enough iron in, would that just...
Nope. So that's why people that's loading up on iron still have anemia.
Okay.
Because you still have to have the copper, the B12, and all those things to metabolize. Heme is much more than just the iron sitting at the center.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have the copper and the B12. But again, with B12, B12 is kind of tricky because B12 is actually cobalt.
Cool.
So it's a mineral with some other. So, but when you get, now here's where organics come into play. B12 is made from microorganisms. So when we had healthy soil, the microorganisms in the soil made the B vitamins. The plants uptook the B vitamins. We plucked the plants, ate the plants, we got B vitamins. Now that they put all the chemicals in the soil, the microorganism, the microbiome of the soil is gone. So now it's not in the greens like it used to be. So you have to supplement.
So when you mean supplement, you mean just buy the vitamin B12 from the store? From
Yes and no. You can get B vitamins from sea vegetables.
Like seaweed.
Seaweeds. But here's the thing. You need B vitamins because those are water-soluble vitamins every day. So people will hear you can get B vitamins in sea vegetables and think that eating like kelp twice a month is like, no. You have to constantly have B vitamins because they're part of your energy metabolism. You need them daily. So because they're water-soluble, your body doesn't store them. They use and go.
So the sea moss would be like a good supplement for it?
You have to have a variety of sea vegetables. That's why I didn't say sea moss.
So
sea vegetables. So you got to be a person that's having kelp, bladderwrack, sea moss, you know,
wakame,
aramid. Like you have to eat sea vegetables, or buy the supplement. And then even in the supplement game, you got your $3.99 B12 versus your $29.99 B12, which is probably going to be whole food based, which has a higher bioavailability as opposed to the. You know what I'm saying? So we do that. Name brand clothes, vitamins, right? If they even exist at all.
What you know about poinsettia as a herb? Poinsettia?
It's good. It's good for the bones. It's a good herb.
Because like I had a dream one time where like Dr. Sager, he came into my dream and he was like, poinsettia.
Maybe he's a shaman, so he might have been in your dream.
No, like seriously. He came in my dream and it was like poinsettia is the main thing that we use for eggs.
Because you're dealing with bone marrow, kidney, and the things that it's not the fungus directly. So you gotta, whenever you're dealing with a problem, you have to deal with all the subsets of the problem. So remember, before you can get a compromised mucous membrane, the glycocalyx, the protective layer. So anytime you heal an issue dealing with fungus internally, you have to rebuild that. So in order to do that now, you're dealing with the bones and the kidney. You see what I'm saying? So that's a good herb. But there's no such thing as superfood.
Yeah.
That is a commercial idea to sell products. This is a superfood. There's no one thing that's going to fix everything.
Like he was basically saying like it's the main. It was the
one. Trust me. Sabi's a salesman. You never give away the formula. That's the key. People think they can read your ingredient list and then go home and duplicate it. It's not that simple. So, but it's a good herb though.
What do you think about substituting B vitamins with? I know like you do a vegan diet, but what about with certain mushrooms?
Here's the thing with mushrooms. I'm not a big fan of mushrooms. I come under fire a lot from the mushroom community. Most people that deal with mushrooms aren't really that sharp, so we can't even have a long conversation. I'm like, mushrooms are grown in shit and on dead things, right? Okay, so I'm done. Exactly. I'm done right there. But then you have some people that really are foragers, and like Baba Kalende. I got a brother out of Virginia. They're really sharp. So there's a couple. But when I speak, I have to speak to the general public. So I have to kind of, like certain times, like for instance, I'll get like athletes. And they're like, hey, I need this and this. And I'll tell them, eat this and this and this. And they're like, yo, I'm in your group, right? This is on the do not eat list. I'm like, that's for everybody else. You have a different mindset. You're working out 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. A higher amount of nitrogen intake for you is not going to increase ammonia circulation and uric acid because you're working out so much. You're going to get rid of that or turn it into nitric oxide. So your body has so many different pathways. It depends on your daily activity how things get processed. So when we eat a lot of nitrogen, we can get ammonia and uric acid, or we can get nitric oxide and things grow. But if we're not working out, there's no stimulation need for that. We build up ammonia, the ammonia attacks the kidney, and so I'm not a big fan of mushrooms. You know, it's a fungus. Fungus feeds fungus. And then there's the conversation about, oh, some mushrooms have melanin. I'm like, yeah. But again, surface research, not in depth. It's not about the melanin. Melanin is not that big. It's about the process that it represents. Melanin in mushrooms is produced through methanogenesis. It has nothing to do with sunlight. It's based on methane gas. So they inhale methane, store it, and use it to produce pigment. It's like people that have lung cancer. They find these black spots in the lung, these pigment spots, but it's not from sunlight. It's from methane.
So I was going to ask the second part of that question was, if you're not going to substitute with mushrooms, how do you feel about cayenne pepper?
Cayenne is awesome. Cayenne is a vasodilator. It has some B vitamins in it. But again, people won't get enough B vitamins out of cayenne. But cayenne is awesome. You know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff that's in the cabinet is amazing. That's why we had one of the most violent wars in history, the spice wars, over these herbs. Because people that didn't have them had a lifespan of like 25 years. Then they're looking at the people from India and the top of Africa. They like walking around at like 90, like working on a house, having new babies. Like, what are those? Okay, yeah. Attack! We have to have those things. What things? All those plants. Get it. So one of the most violent wars in history fought over the herbs that we now take for granted is just in the cabinet. You know what I'm saying? So, but mushroom is, you know, it depends on, because it's more important to get the nutrients in. Like, I prefer people to have bad supplementation than no supplementation. So if it's cheap vitamins, mushrooms, whatever, get it in, because it's more dangerous to not have the nutrients than to have them from bad sources. You know, because a healthy body can get rid of some of those other things. And then mushrooms also concentrate high levels of ammonia. Now, for a person with chronically acid condition in their body, a very alkaline substance can help them bring them back to a homeostasis. Long term, though, alkalosis is just as bad as acidosis. You don't want to be too alkaline. The body works off balance. You know what I'm saying? So people say alkaline. Oh, slow it down. Read a book. Okay? It's not about alkaline to the death. You know what I'm saying? So mushrooms have a key role. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, you got to do your homework on mushrooms. That's what I would say. Mushroom is like the adept chamber. So people that don't want to do any reading or research, stay away from mushrooms. People that don't mind studying, mushrooms can be amazing.
What do you think of Lyme disease?
Lyme disease is crazy because of the similarity to some of the herpes family. You know, but I tend to look at the body's overall immune system, because Lyme disease may affect the Lyme, the tick, may bite everybody in the room, and only 4 people have Lyme disease afterwards. So usually there are a lot of breaks in the immune system, because we all live in, see, this idea of germs is crazy. We're all inhaling mold spores and everything right now, right? We're quiet about our personal business, but we're all carrying around shit right now that we're exchanging because we're in this room breathing in and out. So there's no disease, like even when Ebola was the big thing. And like Ebola was the most dangerous thing ever. 7 out of 10 people get it, die. I'm like, okay, so what about those other 3? What's going on with them? Because all these things have been here on Earth, evolving right alongside our bodies. So we would have never made it to this point if cancer could really outdo us. If these little ticks could outdo us, we wouldn't be here. It's just the synthetic lifestyle no longer affords us natural protection. I was saying last night we went into the supermarket. 1 o'clock in the morning, we walking around in Walmart. I'm like, yo, this is amazing. Stacey's like, what are you talking about? You know, it's late, she annoyed. I'm like, no, this is amazing how we've got this whole thing set up. Like we can just be, like we can live in Detroit, come visit in Miami, and go into the supermarket, and everything's in the same place. Like we just walk up, just grab the bananas. You want some dead bodies to eat? You can go chicken chest, cow thigh. Like we can do all that. Just pick it up. Just walk to the register. It's just so convenient. That doesn't exist in nature, though. If you want to eat a dead animal, you have to catch it and then kill it. Like one of the biggest misunderstandings is that there's a conversation, like when people have the debate, meat eaters versus plant eaters, right? That debate's happening fiercely now everywhere. Here's the major point that people don't know. There's never been what people are that eat meat. That is not a carnivore. Like we think.
Necrovore.
Necrovore. That is what I was looking for.
I got you.
I'm gonna give you a free bottle of something for that. Necrovore.
Thank you.
Necrovore. Tony, where's Tony? She outside. We're going platinum with Necrovore. Give you a free bottle of something. Because I've been thinking, I was like, yo, I gotta get a new name for this. This is not carnivore. And every time that argument happens, people are like, yeah, but the lions and this natural animals, they won't. No! There's no animal on earth that lets dead bodies rot and then cook them, burn them, char them, and then eat that. The two most deadly carcinogens known to man are produced from charred flesh. Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons and some other long, crazy HCAs and something else. You look them up. Charred flesh carcinogens. Pull them up. So, and they've done the study. Oh, you got it?
No.
Oh, question. But they've done the studies already. So, a person that doesn't eat cooked meat versus a person that does eat cooked meat. Now, when they did the study, the people that didn't eat cooked meat included people that eat meat raw and medium rare and plant-based people versus people that eat the meat the way we eat it, right? There's a 482% increase in cancer rate. 482%. So what does that mean? I want people to get this. I have to say that every city I go to. That means the only way to eat well-done meat and avoid cancer is to die from something else first. There's no way around it. So you think you killing chickens, chickens killing you. Last question, then we can eat the chicken, right? Because we have a chicken conversation, and we have a chicken and waffle, but it's vegan.
Yeah, vegan.
If your cancer, I have carcinoma. And based on all the testing that the doctors did, they said that my cancer was estrogen based. So
estrogen. Now here's the thing with cancers: they break it down in two categories. Now they think they're getting somewhere with it. So you have initiators and promoters. So estrogen is not necessarily an initiator. Those are your carcinogens. But once your immune system, because we produce cancer cells on a regular basis, but when our body's natural antioxidant system is functioning, when our pancreas is functioning, because our pancreas produces, and this is why like the ancient Egyptians said 90% of your immune system is in your digestive system. One of the key pieces to that is your pancreas. It produces trypsin. Trypsin strips the outer coat off of cancer cells in your body so your body can break them down, metabolize them, send it to the spleen, liver, recycle those parts, no cancer. Pancreas compromised, antioxidant system compromised, and that consists of 600 different enzymes that all require those 80 plus minerals, et cetera, to do their job. when those two guys are not functioning, when we develop these cancer cells, it gets crazy. But to the estrogen makes tumors and cancers grow. It makes them grow. It's a catabolic hormone. So you want to eliminate stuff. So one of the things I do is I put people on an estrogen fast. It's on my website, 40dayfruitfast.com. When you go to the how to do the mucous membrane fast, it shows you the food list. Then below the food list, it has exceptions. People with food allergies don't eat this. People with diabetes don't eat this. Because even within the framework of a healthy diet, there are certain things that people with certain conditions shouldn't have. So like for instance, you have an estrogen-based problem going on. You're not supposed to eat apples. You're not supposed to eat tomatoes, tomato sauce, sunflower seeds. All of those are foods that boost estrogen. So what will be good for you is things like pumpkin seeds instead of sunflower seeds. And, you know, some of that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's just knowing that even things that's healthy for regular folks, if you have a condition, it may not be healthy for you because of how it's going to affect your body. So that's one of the key things. We go on an estrogen fast. Woo! No estrogen promoting foods. So find out which vegan foods that are here are soy-based and make sure you don't eat those. Right? Because you want to stay away from those. Also, chemicals. Any type of makeup. Right? That's another category of estrogens called xenoestrogens. And xenoestrogens act in the body the same way as plant-based or human-based estrogens do. So those are all going to promote. So you eliminate the promoters, whoop, you can kind of quarantine the cancer, and then it's just a matter of putting the stuff in there to fight it off. But as long as you feed it and it keeps growing, that's what increases the probability of metastasis. And metastasis is usually like one of the biggest parts to cancer becoming terminal, when it starts to travel and move around and
It already traveled.
boom. So we want to eliminate the estrogen from the diet. We want to kind of work in berries as much as possible. Berries are really good for feeding the blood vessels and getting rid of angiogenesis that feeds the cancer and the tumor kind of circulation. They need blood too. They need nutrients too, right? So that's one of the things they do is steal the nutrients from everything around them. So there's a lot of key things you just gotta. That's why the information. We don't know. We think, okay, good. I heard about the plants and the vegetarian lifestyle, so I'm gonna just start. Then you're eating soy, you're eating apples, you're eating this, you're eating that, you're eating rice. All these things is boosting estrogen, and you're getting sicker as a vegan. So all those things you gotta know. So the website, 40dayfruitfast.com. Go to the blog. Go to the blog. It has how to do the mucous membrane fast, and just go through the food list. What to add, what to take out, and all that. 40dayfruitfast.com. And when I say fruit fast, it's not fruit only. It's fruit of the earth. So people are like, I'm not ready. How am I going to have a fruit fast? I'm like, it's not just fruit. Like that. It's just fruit of the earth. If it grows from the earth, it's probably included. So questions? I know people are starting to smell that sweet maple syrup. Maple syrup has B vitamins.
Did you talk about estrogen and obesity and how the two?
Well, right, yes. Earlier we had a slide. So fat cells produce estrogen. So that's a key thing as well. We want to slim down and get as much muscle as we possibly can because fat cells, adipocytes to be specific. And you have two different types of adipocytes. You have the brown adipose tissue and then you have your white adipose tissue. Particularly your brown adipose tissue, which is primarily back. And so if it's not there in the diet, won't be there to build a baby. So that's definitely.
Good question.
Oh, wait.
My mom had she had her knee replaced, and during surgery she got like 90% nerve damage in her leg. Is there anything like we could do to regenerate that, or she's?
Yes and no. With nerve damage, it's kind of tough because you get scarification.
Yeah.
And diet is not. It's almost. How long ago was it?
I would say like 2-3 months ago. Right.
Oh yeah. She probably lit. You just got to get the nutrients in there. You know. Because sometimes people come to a legend, they ask them about something from like 5 to 8 years ago. Like, yo, my homeboy's in a wheelchair, and it's been like, I heard about your daughter. My homeboy's been in a wheelchair. He got shot like 10 years ago. I'm like, my homeboy's in a wheelchair, bro. What you want to do is learn from him is probably not be in shootouts. Bullets are not good for your health. Absolutely anti-nutrition. But yeah, get the nutrients in there. Get all the minerals in there. Because your body is constantly rebuilding everything.
Yeah.
Nerves. There's no type of cell that your body's not constantly replacing. But scarification, lack of nutrients, circulation. If you're talking about the nerves in the knee area, that's
Like she
part
can't
of the
feel the bottom
joint.
of her feet. She got pins and needles on the bottom of her feet.
Right, but that might be inflammation too. Because there's a football thing. It's called. I didn't even do any looking into this till I got it. I stopped working out for like 6 months and went jogging in a cheap pair of sneakers I bought from Walmart. And I had plantar fasciitis. Pins and needles in the bottom. I was like, what the? I'm this thing? Yeah. And inflammation. But it's tough in certain areas of the body because, again, those little areas and crevices are hard to get into.
Yeah.
And then if there's surgery in the knee, she's probably not super mobile. She's probably not working out good. Lymphatic system is slow because if you're not working out, lymphatic system is not moving around. So nutrients and then toxin removal is not. So there's a lot of things, but the nutrients is key. You got to get all the 92 minerals in there, the 16 vitamins, the 20 plus amino acids to make your proteins, and because it's going up now. There's a whole bunch of new amino acids, selenium-based amino acids. So it gets expanding as science goes on. There's now 4 essential fatty acids, so all of that's key. Essential fatty acids is a big one though, because that's what makes the myelin sheath.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of essential fatty acids and then also having high healthy amounts of cholesterol. So we don't know that cholesterol does all that. Cholesterol doesn't only make the testosterone, it also makes the covering for the nerves. 60% of your brain is cholesterol. So it's impossible to have a healthy brain without having cholesterol. And then also, even if you get buck naked and go out into 90 degrees on the equator, so you're getting maximum sun in August, with no cholesterol in your body, you can't produce vitamin D because vitamin D is cholesterol is the precursor to vitamin D. So cholesterol is crucial to your body health. So all of them little, that's why you really gotta have all the nutrition.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because everything relies on other things, and this might have a specific group of nutrients it needs, but it might need the kidney to do something, and the kidney has this group, and then so you really got to get in 100-something nutrients a day. That's why we eat every day. Really.
Yeah.
And if we don't get that, which is not in the food, so you don't have to get my supplements, but you got to get them somewhere. Because it's not in the food, period. So it's impossible to think you're going to get it from food alone. Period. It's not in the plants. Unless you forage yourself and you have a complete diet of wild plants, which means you live off weeds. Because that's what the wild plants are. They call them weeds now. So you kill them and pesticide them in your yard. And then come to the herb store and buy them back. Right? Because the dandelion, the queen ant slash, like all of those are quote unquote weeds. And the reason they're called weeds is because natural plants kill man-made stuff. So the man-made plants can't live around the natural plants, they kill them. So they get a nasty reputation. Like, those are weeds. And then they don't conform to your rules. So they're not going to do good for a nice yard. But your yard will look good. You can't have natural plants because they just do their own thing. They pop up everywhere. They'll even grow off the house. But they'll just do their own thing. So you got to get rid of them. It's about vanity. Vanity and health sometimes butt heads. Right. So that's it for questions. We're going to get to the chicken and waffles.
Quick one about the maple syrup. Did you get a grade A or a B? Because I heard the only one you're supposed to get.
You know what?
That's why I was
The jury's out. I'm going to tell you what I do. I get the darkest one. I like to buy mine in bottles. So get the darkest one. Typically, the darkest one has the most nutrition in it. It's So that's and it's usually the less processed.
Yeah.
But depending on where you look, like you can just spend an hour or two looking up grade A versus grade B. It's gonna be going both ways. You're gonna be like, okay, let me figure this out. So from a science perspective, like, okay, the darker it is, the more nutrition is in there. I'm going with that.
So the same thing with agave?
Agave, no. I'm glad we brought up agave.
No.
Stay away from agave. Fructose makes cancer cells multiply 10 times faster than normal. Like, what does that have to do with agave? Agave is 90% fructose.
Yeah.
So you guys worried about high fructose corn syrup, and then you run and go grab the agave.
Drink tequila.
You're just getting the expensive version. It's like getting the 50-cent beer versus the Hennessy. It's like you got the expensive version. Okay, so it's 90% fructose. So you don't want to deal with that. And then fructose also, not only people dealing with cancer issues, but liver issues.
Let me take the mushrooms.
If you can take
The battery, I already changed the battery. I'm just recording.
Hold on. We almost done. Chicken is coming. Wait, but he said, what about stevia? And I said, you can take the stevia, it's cool. But here's the ultimate thing. You really want to get your tongue back comfortable to what food tastes like. We flood our food with so much stuff, we don't really know what the food tastes like. Like, I've been doing this conversation for 10 years already. Every city I've been in, no one knows what a cheeseburger really tastes like. Because no one's ever had one. Like, no one's ever had a raw meat patty on bread with cheese. It's always seasoned, fried, cooked, mayo, ketchup, mustard, lettuce, tomatoes, like. And usually, if you notice, they always sneak the salad into the meat dish.
Right.
They always sneak it in. Even with frankfurters, they put the sauerkraut on there, like, yeah, we're gonna balance you out, right? But so yeah, agave is a no-go. I don't even do agave. That doesn't come in my house. I do the maple syrup first. But the idea is try to go with the food. You got a sweet tooth, get sweet food. Fruits are loaded with sweets. You know what I'm saying? Go get you mango.
Yeah.
And y'all down here in Miami, like, steal it from someone's yard. Crazy. When I first came to Miami, I was so insulted. We pull into the supermarket, and 2 instances happened in the same day. I see Mexicans, check this out, climb the tree, get the coconuts, and go right in the supermarket and sell them to the supermarket. And I only paid attention because we was looking for coconuts. So I'm like, hold on. I just watched him sell you the same coconut for $1.50. Now you selling it to me for $4. And I just walked past all these coconut trees like, you got me, man. Catch these. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing was, a guy asked me for change to get money for food. I was like, are you crazy? You in Miami, look.
You should be out.
Bro, there's food on the floor, look. Everywhere you look, there's lemons that are rotting, coconuts, it's on the floor because it grows naturally here. And this is an anomaly in America. This is not happening anywhere else. Even with the temperature, this is not happening. Like, you can go to LA, it's not happening. See the palm trees are not as fruitful, if at all. You got to go up into the hills of Hollywood where the houses and the real estate is crazy. And so in my mind, I'm like, why is the real estate up here so expensive? The vegetation, the plants. So anyway, that's it.